Hi! C here. I wanted to take a moment to welcome you to the first episode of The Explorer's Guide to Everything. We are so pleased that our goofy little vision has created this wondrous thing, and we are so grateful that the incredible people we play D&D with have helped us dive back into our imaginations to play in an infinite number of worlds, each with its own characters and endless possibilities. Who knew Math Rocks could tease such tales out of us? We hope that you enjoy our love letter to the powers of creation and imagination as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to life. And we are forever grateful for your kindness, your support, and your good vibes. I invite you to get cozy, grab your favorite beverage, and allow your imagination to run wild.
Welcome, friends, to the Pinewood Timberlands, a dense forest nestled within a great valley between two towering mountain ranges, whose peaks glisten white with fresh snow, has no shortage of twisting roads and winding paths. Some may lead to small towns and the occasional merchant cart, but mostly you find nothing here but scattered homes and endless twilight as the thick canopy obscures the sun. The mists and fog are thick along the cold and darkened paths, and those who venture here often speak tales of mysteries and horrors unseen. Dark magic seeps into this ancient place, and those who are wise know never to stray from the roads. As a droll tone reverberates, marking the witching hour, a pale moon gleams high overhead, casting light and throwing an enormous and well-maintained manor into sharp relief. The manicured lawns give way to sprawling evergreens, which loom deep and wide in the stillness of the night. There is movement in a window, a small light that creeps along the first floor of the manor before ascending quickly. It is here that Claudette Dupree, the long-standing half-elf housekeeper, holds a hand filled with a soft light in front of her. Her silver hair, normally pinned back, falls around her face as she steps into the study, having been summoned by the Baron.
My lord, what troubles you at this hour?
The good Baron, Henrik Rene, rarely takes leave from his sprawling estate on the southeast edge of his territory, but ask anyone willing to speak to you and they'll all agree that he is at worst absent and at best a good ruler. He sits behind his ornate walnut desk, dripping wax over several rolls of parchment. His dark red hair, thinning slightly at the crown, is a damp scattering of curls across his forehead. His face bears the mark of a man driven to desperation. Heavy circles rest under brown eyes, smudges on a normally well-rested face. A thickening shadow of a beard is beginning to grow unkempt and wild, rumpled clothing, as though it had not been changed in days, clings to his frame heavily. He has the fervor of a man possessed with finding a solution, pushing him through the desperation.
Claudette, please attach each letter to a raven and send them out at once. Enchant the birds so that they will stay with the recipient until there is a reply written and sent back.
A desperate plea from an increasingly desperate man. Claudette makes her way to the aviary, where several handsome ravens awaken, cawing their displeasure at being so rudely disturbed at this time of night. She holds the letters out with a slight smile, and the grumbled tones turn to excitement as they begin to jockey for position to have a letter tied neatly to a leg. As Claudette finishes tying each scroll, she touches the raven gently on its head, murmuring an incantation meant to both protect and guide it home once its mission has been completed. Soon, 4 ravens, each with ornately sealed scrolls, take to the sky, silhouetted by the full moon. The ravens fly swiftly, some far and others farther still as they hone in on their marks. Each one taps incessantly at the window, punctuating with the occasional call while their intended target relieves them of their letter. They loom, large and silent on a sill or a desk, as the wax seals are broken and the words are revealed.
I have chosen you. She does not have much time. My dearest has gone missing, and with each passing night my fear for her grows. The nightmares are consuming me. Blood. Dirt. She screams, and I awake. Please, I beg of you, aid me. Meet at my estate in 2 nights' time.
It takes several days, but eventually our host's visitors arrive. They come 1 or 2 at a time, clutching their letter and peering through the gloom of the home with wide and, in some cases, distrustful eyes. They are ushered to the study by a younger servant. The study is a mastercraft of bookshelves, weighing heavily with thick tomes on subjects from magic to mundane. A handsome basalt stone fireplace takes up an entire wall, where plush seating and thick carpet are arranged. There is a heavy scent of sage in the air. Claudette, her silver hair now pulled back primly, glides in with a heavy tray bearing refreshments.
Ah, I see you have all decided to answer Baron Rennick's call. Very good. Please come in. Be seated and make yourselves comfortable. Our host will join us shortly. In the meantime, I suppose introductions are in order.
I see little point in such small talk, but if it must be known, then I am Draven Greylock.
Yes, Mr. Draven Greylock, the first purple tiefling I have seen. He keeps his jet black hair in a waist-length tight braid, winding behind his foot-long curved horns. His black velvet cloak, covered with pockets, both inside and out, has a muddled scent of sugary sweetness, offset by the undercurrent of sulfur. He grips his quarterstaff, topped with the white skull of some other tiefling. Deep red jewels glitter unnervingly from its sockets, the same color as his eyes, which narrow slightly as he glances over the tomes. The Greylock family is well known for their academic achievements in arcane research. There have always been rumors swirling that his family has employed the use of dark magic in their endeavors.
I'm sure I was called here for my skills in deciphering the arcane. I'm not sure why the rest of you were summoned, when my presence alone should be more than sufficient. Alas, here we are.
Good evening. I'm Morwen Desponia, half of the C&D Detective Agency. I have an aptitude for noticing small details, and I am a graduate of the Bard College of Glamour, as I'm sure you can tell from the lyre on my back. This is my partner, Basquior.
Good to meet you. I'm Basquior Surable, detective. Basquior is a person of few words. He prefers to let his skills, and Morwen, speak for him. A half-elf bard and a high-elf wizard, they've made quite the name for themselves in a short period of time. Their features are delicate, like all with elvish blood, but there is a hardiness that emanates from them. Morwen, with the violet hair messily falling to her shoulders, gazes out interestedly with wide hazel eyes. Basquior rakes a hand through dense blonde hair, as though suddenly nervous about being in the spotlight. He averts his brown eyes, suddenly more interested in a small, clear orb that he produces from his pocket to ponder. They're dressed plainly, well below their acclaim and station. C&D solves grim mysteries for the locals, including the infamous Night Terror killer, who struck viciously and quickly and had eluded capture for several weeks before the guard called for assistance. They discovered the killer within 48 hours.
Well met. I am Lenore Cross. I admit I was surprised to receive the Raven. My skills and services are not well publicized among the typical denizen.
Blood hunters aren't known for their propensity to broadcast their comings and goings, and Lenore is no exception. They are not wearing the skin of someone born into the material plane. It has a slight glimmer, and if one is exceptionally perceptive, it catches the light in a way that looks distorted. They hide being Fae or Fae touched exceptionally well, no doubt from decades of practice. Their current shape, a lithe and limber female, sits on the couch, a lit cigarette dangling from their lips. Their features are delicate, with large amber eyes and a shock of black hair that stands out sharply against ghostly white skin.
I see you all have made yourselves known. Good, we haven't much time. As you may have seen from the postings around the townships, Moldavia Manor recently held a masquerade ball in honor of the newly ennobled Count Libram Moldavia, son of the late Fortuno Moldavia. Invitations arrived to all the prominent families, my own included. Of course, my lovely wife, Eleanor, or Ellie as I call her. She was immediately beside herself with excitement. In the weeks prior, she had arranged for a fine dress and mask. She looked so beautiful and almost radiant in the moonlight. On the night of the masquerade, I was called to handle an emergency with my staff. I could not bear her disappointment, so I called for her coach and sent her to the event alone. That was the last time I saw my wife.
Has there been word of any of the other attendees?
None. Thus far, no one seems to have returned from the masquerade.
With all due respect, Baron, I did not come here from the kindness of my heart. My curiosity has now been satisfied. What other reason do I have to help you?
What is it that you want? If gold is not what you are after, then perhaps renown? Discovery?
Renown? You would tell of our victory to those who may uplift our station?
Discovery? What does this mean exactly?
No one has been to Moldavia Manor since the patriarch of the family died under mysterious circumstances. There have been terrible rumors surrounding his death and the actions of his son following it. Some have even speculated that Libram killed his father and used this act to gain power through dark rituals.
If dark magic has been used, I will hunt it down and destroy it. Mark my words.
I have gold. My family is well known. I care not for the schemes of royals and politicians. I shall take my leave.
Their library holds ancient scrolls. Their cellar holds even more rare and ancient bindings. Surely you can find some of it useful. You may take whatever it is you find there.
We could use someone with your skills, Draven.
Very well.
I nearly forgot. Each of you, take a ring. Once placed around your finger, you will be granted a sort of freedom from death. These are resurrection rings. Should you find yourselves in a dire situation, your memories can be transferred to a willing individual who agrees to wear the ring. Not that I have any worries about such an event. However, no precaution is unnecessary when it comes to finding my wife and returning her safely.
Then it's settled. When should we expect to leave?
You will leave at dawn. I have taken the liberty of having guest chambers prepared for you all. The journey should take the day. Leaving at dawn will have you arriving by nightfall.
Thank you, Baron. Your hospitality is appreciated.
Please, follow me. Rest well. I imagine little may come to you once you are on your way.
The guest chambers are cavernous, with high vaulted ceilings and deep bookcases carved into the gray stone walls. A fire roars in the gathering area, its light scattering shadows as Claudette guides the manor's guests to their individual rooms for the night. The stale air whirls as she places a candle on each bedside table in the small but comfortable rooms. Clearly, it has been some time since the Baron and Baroness have had the overnight company. As the night stretches on and candles begin to dim and sputter, sleep begins to claim each guest. The morning is gray and damp. The party gathers together in the antechamber to be seen off. A twitch of a finger, a whispered oath, a heavy swallow, and the clearing of a throat, the only sounds giving away any hint of nervousness at the looming task.
I see you are all prepared. On this carriage, you will find provisions for the journey. Your driver, Stefan, will take you to the manor and return when you have finished your work. He is the best navigator in the Baron's employ. Stefan is mute. Do not take his silence as an offense. Good travels to all of you, and may you return with Baroness Eleanor home safely. We shall eagerly await your return.
Stefan has been employed on rotation between the manors for many years. His muteness and knack for wending his way through all manners of difficult terrain offer guaranteed arrival and silence when it pertains to the comings and goings of nobility in the area. He sits smartly atop a well-appointed carriage and gives a deliberate but disjointed tip of the top hat. His gray tailcoat flutters faintly in the breeze of the morning, and two dappled steeds with ornate brindles scrape their hooves impatiently, whickering gently to one another as though sensing the importance of their journey. The journey along the winding forest path is uneventful. The smells of damp loam and moss hang heavy in the air, mingling with Lenore's cigarettes and Bascure's chew. Draven spends time consulting his tomes, fingers deftly turning papers, face a passive scowl. Lenore sits splay-legged, poring over schematics for the manor, making a jotted note here and there. Their cigarette dangles dangerously close to the parchment at times. Bascure pulls a small gleaming orb out of his pocket and whispers softly to it, holding it close to his face and nodding in affirmation or frowning in disagreement as he consults with it, while Morwen plucks absent-mindedly on her lute and occasionally whistles a slow melody, mimicking the corvid calls and allowing tense shoulders and tired eyes to relax and rejuvenate slightly. Moldavia Manor, well known for its annual masquerades, hunts, and balls, towers in the distance off the gravel carriageway. Its dark stone is overgrown with thorny vines and thick, damp moss, which is a reminder that its splendor has not been maintained for quite some time. The air is thick here. The magnificence of the manor and its estate have been so corrupted by a dark force that the very trees surrounding the estate are sickly and gaunt, lifeless husks, a shell of their former glory. The wind blows coldly here, and as our party exits the carriage, clouds begin to form overhead.
Something is very wrong here. Have we got a map?
I have the blueprints here. To the west of the estate is the pond, and to the south lies the servants' quarters and stables. The east path leads away from the manor.
I would like to begin at the servants' quarters. The more information we can gather before entering the building, the better prepared we will be for whatever may await us inside.
You sound afraid, Bard.
I am simply being cautious and thorough with this investigation. Rushing ahead will do us no favors.
You sound impatient and reckless, Warlock. Why don't you take a breath and let the detectives do their work?
Cease your argument. It's too quiet here. No birds, no insects. There is nothing. I'm keeping my crossbow drawn and ready. I agree with Morwen. We should head down the southern path and investigate the area before deciding our next move.
Very well.
As the southern path gives way to a view of stables, a handsome construct of mahogany and white stone rises up. A large painted mural of riders in resplendent silver armor, swords drawn high urging their steeds forward amidst copper and bronze baying hounds, bearing down on a glorious stag grace its side. As the path curves, the stable doors yawn, wide open, a deep blackness looming within.
I doubt the horses are alive. By the smell, I'd say they've been dead for over a week.
Horses were once the pride of the Moldavia house, having been meticulously bred over generations to ensure grace, agility, and beauty. The Moldavia heirs often competed in the usual noble pastimes of dressage and croquet, but the recently deceased Moldavia rode them hard and fast through the forest during hunts, even going so far as to compete in races below his station as count, much to the chagrin of his son. Here they lie, stinking and bloated with rot. Their softened, chestnut-colored flesh is hard to discern, trampled roughly by the last remaining survivor.
One yet lives! Over here! Be calm, friend.
Morwen was attempting to calm the animal. Why would you cut it free, Draven?
It would not have calmed. Let the forest take it.
From what I can identify, these horses have no injuries. They all died of stress. Basquior waves his hand, and a soft light illuminates the stable, showing a soft visage of the horse's final moments before succumbing.
Of fear. Immense fear. They were frightened to death. We need to get into the servants' quarters now.
Draven calls forth concentrated beams of deep red and black bolts of flame. He points at the carcasses, and with a twitch of his fingers engulfs and immolates them completely. The stink of rot has been erased, leaving behind only ashes as the flames cease. The path curves around, overlooking several unkempt gardens and 7 stone dwellings for full-time servants and their families, if they had one. They stand neatly in a row. These humble structures have stood for generations, yet in a short time the lack of regular maintenance has rendered them less stately and more crumbling. Emerald lines of ivy slinking between the soft spaces of the stones, slowly forcing them apart. In each cottage lies 2 small bedrooms, each with a comfortable bed, a small communal hearth, and most importantly, direct access to the kitchens in the manor. Fortuna Moldavia was kind to his servants and generous with supplying small crafting materials or books for much savored leisure time. The party combs through the cottages silently, but swiftly, leaving only empty rooms and heavily hanging questions, until...
Listen. Do you hear that?
I hear nothing. We are wasting time and lantern light. These huts are empty, and we have searched every one of them.
If everyone could please be quiet and stop moving for a moment. I can hear you under the bed, little one. Don't be afraid. My friends and I are here to help. My name is Basquior. Are you hurt? What is your name, child?
Jenny?
It's all right, Jenny. You can come out. Here, are you hungry? Thirsty? I have some food and water to share.
Jenny makes a small sound and suddenly pushes herself out from under the bed. Her thick black hair is bedraggled and matted, coming undone from what was once a smart-looking braid. There is dirt on her cheeks. Her calico dress is tattered and falls limply to her sides, the collar askew and damp from countless tears. She holds a well-loved but simple stuffed rabbit close to her chest. Her eyes, deep pools of blue, gleam in the low light as she stares longingly at the food Morwen holds out to her. Morwen nods, and Jenny warily reaches out, taking the food with caution. Another encouraging nod from Morwen sees her taking large bites and sloshing water.
I had when the noises came. Everyone was screaming.
How long have you been hiding under that bed, child?
Days and, nights. I'm so tired. Mommy works in kitchens. She went to set up for the party, and I heard the screaming and I hid, and she never came back for me.
What's your mother's name?
It's Bessie, but everybody calls her the best because she's the best cook around.
You have been very brave, Jenny, but I need you to be brave for me just one more time. Do you know the path that takes you from the front of the manor around to your house? I want you to take the path as quickly as you can until you see our carriage. There is a man there, he is a friend of ours, and he is tending the horses. He cannot speak, but he is kind, and he will keep you safe. Go straight to him now, tell him that Lenore and Morwen sent you, and you will wait for us with him. Do not leave his sight. Can you do that for me?
Lenore takes a lantern from Morwen and holds it out to Jenny as Morwen strums a chord on her lute. Its tone gentle, it seems to wrap around the room's occupants in a cocoon of warmth before dissipating. Jenny's eyes clear, and she takes a deep breath, clutching her rabbit firmly to her chest, her head held high as she is escorted from the cabin and turned to the direction of the waiting carriage.
I can be brave. Take the path. Stay brave, and find the quiet man. Do not leave the quiet man, because he will keep you safe.
While I'm glad we were able to get that child to relative safety, something tells me the rest of our discoveries may not be as clear-cut. Shall we continue? With the promise of both company and safety, Jenny's frail mantra begins to fade as she is swallowed by the encroaching darkness that leads back to the carriage. Night truly begins to descend, greedy tendrils of darkness plucking at the shadows, making them longer and more sinister. The wind kicks up, threatening to quench the light from the shuttered lanterns held by Bascure and Lenore. The sound of the forest deepen, rushing on the wind with promises of misfortune for those who dare disturb it. After a few moments of lingering near the backside of the enormous manor, the entrance to the kitchen is discovered, completely barred from the inside and unable to be coaxed open by physical means or otherwise. The 4 brave souls who took on this task now walk back to the front of the manor, whispering amongst themselves as they ready their actions and discuss plans for survivors. Reaching the front and facing the massive oak and steel doors, they begin to walk towards the entrance, a cold wind beginning to howl at their back.
Thank you so much for listening to Tales of Terror, Episode 1, Meet the Baron. Tales of Terror is based off of the brilliant 5e compatible adventure Mask of the Worms, a chilling ode to Edgar Allan Poe's darkest dreams, which is one of 8 one-shot adventures found in Bundle of Horror 1 and 2, written by Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library. We appreciate her blessing to use this bundle as a basis for our current anthology. Extra special thank yous to our resident artist, Blushing Beardy, our VO talents, E, K, and L, and of course, all of you. Want to be a part of an upcoming adventure? Check out our Discord group where budding or experienced DMs, GMs, and adventurers alike can come to find a place to take part in a low-stakes, low-commitment community that dearly loves their math rock created adventures. If you enjoyed what you heard, spread the word. X's and O's, C and M.